Let's go.
All right, guys. So I in the gym today, and this happens quite often. I have a guy come up to me and says, "Man, I've got this lagging body part. I can't get it to grow. What can I do to get it grow?" Or, "Hey, what rep range are you using to get your muscles to grow? What's the best rep range to get your muscles to grow?" And the list goes on and on, right? Lagging body parts, what rep range? How do I get these muscles to grow? Man, I've been working out, can't get these muscles to grow. So there are these guys at the gym that I see, and they go religiously, and they look like they're putting in work, and they're just not seeing results. Um, could be diet, could be supplementation, but there are two things that I see that all these guys have in common that I want to talk to you about today. So maybe you can and not make these same mistakes. So the first question I'm going to ask is, are you working the muscle or are you working the movement? And the best way to explain that difference is the difference between a bodybuilder and a power lifter. So a power lifter's goal is what? It's move a heavy amount of weight from point A to point B, use whatever muscles you need to. You got to have a certain form. It's got to be done a certain way, right? For the judges to give you credit for that rep. But if you're bench pressing, you don't have to just use chest. You can use your chest, you can use your tries, you can use your shoulders, you can use all those muscles to get that weight from off your chest to the top of the rep, and you'll get a credit for that rep. Whereas a bodybuilder cares how the rep or the weight moves through the rep, because a bodybuilder wants as much tension on the working muscle as possible through as much of the range of motion as possible. So a bodybuilder will want to, while bench pressing, put as much tension on the chest as possible and keep it there through the entire range of motion. So from point A to point B, we want all the tension here. We want this muscle contracted and working for the entire rep range. So that's the first thing that I ask them, and it's usually the work and the movement, right? So they're either ego lifting with too much weight, or they don't have a good mind muscle connection. So they haven't developed the neural pathways between the brain and the working muscle that tells it, hey, keep this muscle contracted through this entire rep. So that's the first thing. The second thing is workout intensity. So these guys go in and they think they're killing it, right? They may sweat a little, they might move a little bit of weight around, but they're doing a lot of talking. They're on their phones. They're not working out nearly as hard as they think they are. So I could tell them, hey, 8 to 12 reps, upper body, great for hypertrophy. Lower body, 15 to 20 reps, great for hypertrophy. But if you're not working the muscle, and two, your intensity sucks, you're not going to get the results you want. So I try and stress that to them. Hey, don't worry about the rep range as much right now. Don't worry about the weight as much right now. What you need to be working on is, if your goal is to grow that muscle, you're not a power lifter, your goal is to develop your body, then you need to be focusing on working the muscle and not the movement. Who cares about the movement? What you want to do is make sure that through the entire rep of whatever you're doing, bench, squat, whatever it is, that the muscle you're targeting is not only contracted as much as it can be through the entire rep, but it's the majority of the work. You're going to have some stabilizer muscles in big complex movements. I understand that. But your chest should be doing the work in a bench press or any type of chest press. A fly, same thing. Your chest should be doing the work, not your shoulders, not your triceps. They're going to be stabilizing that movement, but they shouldn't be doing the entire movement. They shouldn't be doing more work than your chest. That's why your chest isn't growing. Same thing with quads. You're doing a squat, but you're not putting the focus on the quads or whatever movement you want to pick, a shoulder press, or whatever it is, a bent over row. That's a good one. That one probably gets done the wrong way most of the time, but they're not using their back. They're swinging, they're using biceps, they're using every other muscle except their back, and can't figure out why their back won't grow. And I understand their frustration. So I always tell these guys, lower the weight, develop that mind muscle connection, and you'll see that growth. So you'll start working muscles instead of movements, because that's what's important if you want to grow muscle. Now, if your goal is to be a power lifter, that's a little bit different. So this doesn't really pertain to power lifters, because power lifters' goal, A to B, that's it. But if you want to develop your body, you've got to learn how to connect that mind to that muscle and make sure that you're working that muscle through the entire rep range. So what are some things you can do? One is flexing. So you might see those guys at the gym flexing in the mirror between their sets. I'm going to encourage you to do that. So if you're working your chest in between that, keep your chest flexed. This is going to help you feel that muscle, right? Same thing for working back, walk around, flex those lats, do those things so you can feel that muscle. That's how you should feel it during your lifts. You should feel it the same way when you flex, but that's going to help develop those neural pathways from your brain to that muscle. So when you are working that muscle, you're keyed in on that particular muscle and not those auxiliary muscles or those stabilizer type muscles. You want that working muscle that you're focusing on to be doing the work. So flexing is a good way to help you do that. Not posing, flexing. So I use that term specifically. Another good thing is to go to machines. So yeah, free weights are in the long run going to be a little better for you, but switch over to the machines and allow yourself to feel that muscle through the movement. So going to a machine will allow you will keep you in a perfect position, right? So the machines are designed where they can only move along a certain path, whatever that path may be, but they can't move outside of that plane of movement. So they're going to keep you focused in on that muscle you're supposed to be on. So they're going to kind of help you with form, but you can focus more on that working muscle, right? Because now you're on a machine. You don't have to worry about balancing the weights or things like that. So go to the machines, develop that mind-muscle connection, and then go back to the free weights. And the other thing is going to be tempo. Number 3 is going to be tempo. Slow down. I see so many guys who go in, they want to rep out as many as they can, as quick as they can. This is not a Metcon. You don't need to go as fast as possible. You want to slow down. You want to feel that muscle work on the concentric and the eccentric phase, or the positive and the negative, however you want to term it. But you want to feel it both ways. So if you're not going slow enough to feel it both ways, you're really cutting yourself short. Guys, slow down, drop the weight, work the muscle, not the movement, but also intensity at some point, right? So once you develop that mind-muscle connection, once you know, all right, man, I feel it. Yeah, I felt that. That was a good set. I really felt that. I feel that muscle working. You can then start to pick up weight. You can then start to increase tempo or cut back on rest. But your main focus in the beginning, or if you're going back to the basics, should be focusing on working that muscle that you're training that day. Albeit chest, legs, whatever it is, you should feel that muscle when you're doing it. And if you're not, you're probably doing it wrong. That's it, guys. I hope that helps. I get that a lot at the gym. So I really want to get on and talk about it. But do a little research, man. Mind-muscle connection is a big thing. Those neural pathways are really important. So it's not just the physiological side. It's the psychological side, or the central nervous system plays such an important role in weightlifting and body development, more than you think. It's not just some meathead at the gym throwing weights up and down, pick heavy weight up, put it down, and grow muscle. It's not that simple. So if your diet's on par and your supplementation's on par and you're still not seeing the results, check that out, because it's probably that you're working movements and not muscles, and you need to turn that around. All right, guys.